Hello guys, and welcome to the Spooky Stories and Haunted Locations, the Sunday show. It is the 30th of August 2020. I welcome all people into my room. Please come over and join me. And I hope that you enjoy this night of spooky stories. Just going over to my channel and wait for people to come in. Just get it out there so people know. Welcome, Mittens. 6 people in the room, 6 likes. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hello, Robert. Yes, he is. You're all amazing supporters. So the plan tonight is, guys, that I'm going to start off with talking about a haunted location. Then I am going to look up one in my book and go and get it up and speak about another one as well. Then we will go end the stream with just doing some ghost stories and seeing what you guys think. You know, some of the locations that I talk about you may have been to or heard of, so it'd be quite interesting to see what you say. I've got basic information about the places. Well, the one that I've got wrote down, I have. Hello, Thinking, my darling. Welcome. There's not a lot of information on the place that I'm talking about, only what bits that people have been able to get over the past. But I think this is a really cool place, and this is definitely a place that I would like to visit. Just for the very simple reason that there are so many different sort of supernatural and paranormal energies at this place, that it would be a rather interesting place. Definitely a place that you would need to be careful if you went to as well. Definitely, because of what's been reported about it. So I'm just going to get on. So the first place that I am wanting to talk about is the Skinwalker Ranch. Now, Skinwalker Ranch is in Utah. It is a place that's been in many films and documentaries. There's been people that have investigated there. There have been scientific researchers of the paranormal and of supernatural stuff that have been there on different occasions. Now, I first heard about Skinwalker Ranch through a YouTube person, and when I looked up some of the information, I found the place very interesting. Now, Skinwalker Ranch, to me, in my opinion, is a place that's got some sort of curse on it, as well as all the other supernatural stuff that's going on. I do believe that there is some sort of curse on there. The land was once owned by the Navajo tribe, which are an Indian tribe. They were in charge of the land and that. It was explained by some of them that they'd had experiences many, many years back, some of their ancestors and people, that the ranch and the grounds had been haunted for a very, very long time. And several families had been in this location and had experienced many paranormal experiences, and a lot of them not being pleasant or being very nice. For one Pacific family, it kind of bankrupted them because they were losing their livestock due to the energies at the Skinwalker Ranch. So if I just read what I've got, like I said, it is basic stuff. Navajo Skinwalker legend. It was also owned by dark witches who had roamed them grounds for a long time, with other supernatural beasts in lots of shapes and sizes. In recent years, lots of movies and documents have been filmed about Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. The ranch the ranch is in the middle of nowhere and on the lands of the Navajo culture and Indians. The ranch is located on the southeast of Ballard, Utah. There are many reports that this location and its land is very haunted. The rumors are that Skinwalker Ranch is haunted by many supernatural energies, from ghosts to large wolves that you can't kill, strange lights, body apparitions, poltergeist activity, aliens and UFOs. So all of the paranormal and supernatural beings are meant to be at this place. A lot of negative and unexplained things are meant to happen at this ranch. A family was reported to live there but left after their life started falling apart. Previous tenants before them lived there a long time ago and experienced a lot of what the Sherman family did when taking the home and the land on. After 7 years of no one living there, the new family noticed that the house was strange. There was locks on the doors and the windows, large chains hooked to walls where big dogs would have been chained for protection. There were locks on the inside of doors too. The new Sherman family to this location just thought that maybe their tenants were probably just a bit too protective over the property, and they continued to take the ranch on. But the family was about to find out the real reason for the tenants' ways. The new Sharman family did ask questions when they were taking up this property, but still took the home on. They were not able to dig on land without asking for permission of previous owners, and obviously that was because things had happened at this ranch, and maybe they didn't just want them digging for safety reasons. When they moved in, they noticed strange things happening straight away. Things moving and feeling watched. Then Mr. Sharman noticed a large wolf, 4 times the size of a normal wolf. His cattle seemed on edge. There was a calf that did become intrigued on what it was and ended up being attacked by this wolf. It was said that Mr. Sharman had tried to hit the wolf with a shovel at one point, but there was no retaliation from the wolf. Then he called for his son to bring him a shotgun, where he'd shot this wolf several times, but again the wolf was unfazed. But on one shot, flesh was said to have come away from the wolf, and when that happened, the wolf gave up trying to kill the calf, and it just walked away from Mr. Sharman. When this wolf had started to move away from him, he'd picked the flesh that he'd shot off of this wolf, and he said that it smelt like it was rotten, like it was meaning it wasn't of something that was living. Mr. Sharman and his son or a friend decided to go on the hunt for this wolf that day, and they followed wolf tracks, and they were able to get sightings of this wolf, and they followed them into this location in the middle of the woods that's on the ranch property. And they got so far into the woods and the wolf's footprints had stopped, and the wolf had disappeared into thin air, and there was nowhere that wolf could have jumped. Then the ranch went on to other strange goings on, such as strange lights and sounds. Some sounded like explosions, seeing strange being figures, poltergeist activity, cattle being mutilated, body parts removed, but very clean, not explained, and can't be explained. And the cut of the wounds were circle shape, and the parts that had been removed were done delicately. The wounds were strange, and it said they believe it was aliens because they would be alive, and within a few minutes, when returning to the cattle would be dead with these wounds and these circles and body parts missing, which no living person could have done that quickly, or animal. And not in that specific manner either, no matter how much the family tried to come to carry on, the dangers and the activity and losing all of their money forced Mr. Sharman and his family to leave the to leave the property. But they went into an agreement with an agency wanting the ranch for research after seeing the reports about the property and all the different paranormal and supernatural happenings. The company was called NIBS, National Institute of Discovery Science. There was a lot of research done by this company. They experienced a lot of strange things. They'd gone in with open minds and believing it all could be illusions or another explainable reason. But in doing many months and years of research, they came to have more subjects that could not be explained. The research then became the ranch then became owned by a secret owner who later revealed himself. The person in the company was Adatanium Holdings. Nibs was paid a lot of money by Adatanium Holdings. They went on to fence off the ranch so no one could enter and do their own work. The Nibs company was angered as this new company broke their agreement to continue to allow other companies to research. They'd stop this from happening. Robert Bigelow, Nibs budgeting, Bigelow Arrow Pace were some of the companies that researched and studied this ranch. Bought for $200,000 by the company. The research was done on it for over 20 years and sold for 4.5 million by Bigelow. This company was a secret company of researchers who for several years did not reveal who they are and stopped all outside and other researchers entering. Reports of UFOs were from 1970, which was the first claims, were in 1996. Then Kenneth and Edith Myers were the first owners, taking the ranch on in 1934 to 1994. Then it was Terry and Gwynne Sherman taking it on from 1994 to 1996, then having to leave because they become bankrupt and because of all of the strange things. Then Robert Bigelow took the ranch on from 1996 to 2016, which was the researchers that were there for over 20 years. And they'd done lots of research, and in doing the research, there are a lot of things that had been happening at this ranch that they could not explain. and they'd put that down to being paranormal and supernatural. So paranormal meaning, spirits, ghosts, those sort of things. And then you've got the supernatural, all of things like Bigfoot and aliens, UFOs, more earthbound sort of beasts and so on, or other astral beings of other places. Brandon Fugel was the owner of the So Brandon Fugel was the Adam Hugel Holdings owner. He revealed had got the property from 2016 to 2020 and revealed that he was the new owner of the ranch in March 2020. The ranch was made secure with no visitors by the new owner, but this ranch had been featured in many known programs. So I'd only got the most basic information on the ranch because there's not really a lot to go on about with it apart from like just watching people's investigation shows and stuff. I need to look more into it because I would like to do a bigger talk on that. But I just wanted to kind of cut over it. But the ranch is supposed to be a place that's full of like paranormal and supernatural goings on. So everything from ghosts and spirits and figures, poltergeist activity, all the way through to aliens and known beasts. There are witch remains and stuff obviously on that land. The Navajo tribe owned those lands and had spoke of many dangerous and evil supernatural beings and beasts on that land. And when these two families that owned the ranch at different times, they'd all experienced this strange stuff going on. So the first family had become that scared of the activity that was going on that they would bolt and lock every single part of their home. They had overgrown dogs living with them for protection. They would see strange lights, hear strange noises. They would hear what sounds like explosions going from grounds. They were seeing full-bodied apparitions. They were seeing full-bodied wolves, but 4 to 5 times the size of a normal wolf. And when trying to shoot them or get rid of them, nothing would faze the wolf. Now, it was said that when people first turned up at the ranch, these wolves seemed quite nice. They didn't seem to want to attack or do anything. But then in later understanding them and being there longer, they come to realise that these wolves weren't good creatures. They weren't even living. And they were there to doom them and to bring their businesses and their ways down, obviously not wanting them there. So you've got everything from ghosts and spirits all the way up to, aliens and UFOs and strange noises and strange lights. And it's even said that such things as like Bigfoots and beasts that look like bits like werewolves and things like that are meant to roam in these grounds as well. And as I've said in that several companies took this lodge on, and they've done lots of research in trying to understand what was going on there. A lot of them went in with skeptical minds and open minds, believing that there could be a logical explanation for what was going on there. But in doing their research, they come to realise that a lot of the stuff that was being experienced by these families and by themselves were not explainable. And the fact both families become bankrupted, but definitely the Sharman family, they'd moved there. There was Mr. Sharman, there was his wife, and there was their two children. They'd moved. Mr. Sharman was a cattle breeder, and he had cows and stuff. And these cows had been mutilated very, very badly. Body parts had been moved. There were strange wounds in the body that no human could do that, even if they were a qualified cutter. It was just a completely different sort of wound and cut. And it had been noticed as well that obviously when they first were out there, they would see the cattle there. And then on going back, because of their strange behaviour, they would find that their cows, after a couple of minutes, were on the floor and been mutilated, and body parts had been moved, and these strange round wounds were in the animals. And there's just no way that a human being or any sort of animal that we live with could have done that. And just by the patterns and the way that it looked, it very much looks like something that, you know, aliens and stuff would do. There has been sightings of aliens and of UFOs on that ranch. That, like, every light beams, everything, like every sort of spiritual and supernatural energy that you could think of is supposed to be located to this location. It's a very dangerous and a very haunted location, and I know that now you can't get onto that ranch, you can't go in and have a look, but you have got the grounds, and I would like to be able to just go and see what it looks like, and maybe go around the ground bits that have not got the fencing and stuff round, and see if you get anything there. Because, like, to be quite honest, it's not just going to be haunted on the ranch and the land bit that the fencing's around. It's going to be the whole thing. You know, the Navajo tribe, which is an Indian tribe, lived in those lands and would have spread themselves out all over that. I do believe that, you know, that place is also cursed. I do believe that it's got some sort of curse over it, and I do think that some of that could be are you on about? So I don't even know what I was saying now, because somebody wrote something in the room that took my mind completely off of it. So obviously they'd gone in there to do this research, to try and understand why all these strange things were going on. The Navajo, like I said, were all over the lands. I do feel that that the place was very much a place that was cursed. And I do believe that maybe this could be down to you know, some sort of Indian family that lived there as well. But a lot of the native people, the Navajo native people, had spoke about a lot of you know, you can still they they just seen a lot of things happen, and they can't explain it. The Navajo people have said the same. They'd seen strange beasts and strange things that were living there, and not of the actual living, even though they looked it. I never said that you'd done cattle mutilation. I'm not talking about you, Orion. I'm talking about a ranch that is near Texas in the USA. And in the research and in the things that I've watched and the things I've picked up on it, the stuff that has happened to the cattle on that, they said that can't be explained. That no personal living person could have done that, the way that the markings and stuff were. So I'm going to take the word of people that have researched the place and done stories on that, because that is what's said. And the way that the markings and stuff were in the animals and stuff looks very alien. Looks very, very alien. And it's not necessarily that the aliens have done it out of spite. It may be that there was just certain things that they wanted from them animals, but in my opinion, it's no living animal or person that's done that to that and those animals. It was literally aliens. Yeah, well, this is what's been done by scientific researchers, people that have been there for over 20 years, and that have said that they believe that it could be alien linked because of the wounds and the markings to the animals. You've got these massive crater circles in their bodies and body parts missing. That to me sounds very much like an alien. They, like I said, it's not necessarily that they've come there to cause harm, but something was done to these animals. This land is cursed. There are so many different supernatural and paranormal energies on there that it's not a good and a safe place to go to. Um, there's even been people that have said that they thought they've seen aliens there. They've actually seen aliens there. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. It is a very strange thing, and it's something that really baffles me and really interests me because of how it is. Like, I'd never go there and sleep overnight or do what these other people do, but it would be just very interesting to be able to see the ranch and maybe go around the outside grounds of it just to see if you could get anything. I just find it very intriguing, and just because of all of the stories and the picture evidence and things that people have got, and the bits that researchers have wrote about, and there have been investigators that have gone and investigated there as well when they've had some strange experiences. So to me, it's definitely a place that I would like to try to see, if it's real. Like I've always said, I don't take the word of other people. I'd like to find out for myself. Yeah, I do believe fully in this, and there is evidence and stuff there, but I still would, like to go there and just see the place for myself. Like, I'm not saying I want to walk in the house or walk on the actual grounds that the house is on, but on the outside grounds of it, I don't mind, because that would be haunted as well. But I would like to be able to get close enough that I can get a few pictures and things like that, because it's not very often you get to go to places like that. And because of the history and the way that it is, I think it would be a very interesting place. Okay, Elvis. Hello, Paranormal Circle. You know, I, in no shape or form, are saying that aliens are bad. What I'm saying is that these researchers and that believe that the mutilation of these cattle showed the similarities of aliens. Hello, how are you, brother? What's your opinions on Skinwalker Ranch, guys? Like, what do you think? Like, some of you guys are writing in the room and saying you have seen things and heard things about that place. Like, what do you think about that place? What do you think? What's your opinions on it? What do you think it is? I just think the amount of activity that they're supposed to get there and all of the different things that are meant to happen, it's most definitely a high place for paranormal activity and for supernatural activity. And like I said, it ain't just the mutilation of cows and seeing ghosts. That there's been reports of like seeing UFOs and seeing the lights of UFOs and things like that as well. There's meant to be quite a lot of different beings there. So, oh yeah, definitely, I believe something's going on there, and like you can't put your hand on it fully and say it's this and this and this. You can't, can you? Only them people can when they get completely to the bottom of it. But I do think that the mutilation of the animals was strange, and the patterns in them, and the fact that all of the reports and the things that people have said, it's a bit hard to ignore and to think that that it's normal, uh, and it's overlooked because that they've got scientific researchers there, so that in my opinion there is clearly something going on, and to shut it away from public and from people so that they can't go there and other researchers, that tells me even more so that to do that they've found something that gives them the reason to not let anybody else on there. Oh yeah, of course, mittens. I would as well. I made it very clear I'd not stay there overnight. I would never ever go there on my own, and I would have to make sure I've got other people with me. I'd be very cautious. It'd probably be the only place that I'd feel fully on edge, just because of what I've read up about it and the things that are supposed to go on there. We do investigations and we look into many different things, and we experience a lot of different things, but that's just another level. And I think if you was there and experiencing that, it's nothing like any of us have ever experienced before. It completely different. I don't know. There has been stories that stuff like this happens in the UK as well. Like this stuff had happened over there at the ranch and that. But I was reading something here, and apparently somebody was saying to me that apparently that sort of things happened over here as well, where cattle and that have died in strange ways and they've got strange wounds and stuff in them. And like in my opinion, aliens are astral that they're beings of the universe, of the sky, yeah, and they're very much more open than what we are, and clever. And I do believe that they would have the tendencies and the cleverness to be able to do things like that. They have different equipment and different things that they use to what we do. So I wouldn't symbol out that it might not be alien related. I definitely believe that it could be alien related, but you can't put your hand on it 100% because they don't give you that much out. They just say what they think it might be, and it's just strange because I'd understand if they'd just been killed, but to have these massive round craters in these cows' bodies and body parts missing, and when you look at the cuts, it's like it hasn't been cut. It's like something's gone in them and removed a part of their flesh. And when you look at them, you can't even say that it's an animal bite or anything because it's not. It's very strange, and they would have parts of their gland bits missing and stuff like that. And I know that aliens are very pronounced and more forward than what we are, and they are very big in their research and their studies and doing things. And I don't see why they wouldn't do it. Learning about life here, and what our ways of living is like. So I believe 100% that it could be alien related when it comes down to the cattle and stuff like that. Like I said, you can't put your hand on it fully and say it is, but just by the the way that the animals looked, and there's no way that any living person or animal done that. There's just no animal that would have done that. No way. And no living person would be able to cut that clean and make those sort of shapes. Hello, Amjad, darling. Welcome. I know angelic dreams, but sadly, the thing is aliens are very inquisitive. They like to learn and know new things, and they do that sort of thing. That's just what they are. Nobody's got beef, darling. No one's got beef with them. I've got no problems with aliens. I'm just saying, out of my opinion, that that looks very alien. It looks very alien. It looks like something an alien would do, just by the shapes and the sizes of some of the markings. And you can normally tell when a knife or some sort of object's been put to a body, and that there's nothing indicating that. It's very haunted. It's the Skinwalker Ranch Paranormal Circle. It's like the highest known paranormal place. Like, and just got your UFOs and everything else. You've got aliens and UFOs. It's got beasts and monsters and wolves that are 4 or 5 times the size of normal wolves. And when you shoot them or you try hitting them, they don't die. And they disappear into thin air in the middle of a woods. It's very dangerous. People's lives have fallen apart living in that place, and anyone with any skepticism about would know not to overtread that place. No way. Mm-mm. Like I said, I'll go to the outskirts. I'd go up enough to be able to take pictures and try to get evidence, but me staying there, no way. I wouldn't stay there. There's just no way. Nope. And I don't say no to a lot of places, but that's one place I would. I'll go there, I'd research, I'd study, I'd do all that. I'm happy to do that. But if somebody said to me, right, I'll pay you this and this and this to stay there, I'd be like, on your bike, like, nah. I've read enough stuff up about it that is not something I want to find out, you know. It's a very very dangerous place. Night, night, Amjad. Thank you for coming in, sweetheart, and sharing the love and popping in to see me. I hope you sleep well, darling. Love, light, and blessings. Uh, for me, it's a very interesting place. It's definitely a place that I would like to go to just to find out, but I wouldn't want to stay there and stuff like that. No way. And the reason for me wanting to go there is that intrigue inside, and the fact of everything that's meant to have happened there. Being a researcher and being an investigator, it is something I'd want to do. I would want to go and check it out. Definitely. Oh yes. A lot of the people that have been there and investigated that place, they didn't stay there very long. they just had these unsteady feelings and things didn't feel right. They were seeing all these strange things happening, strange lights and sounds and everything else. And it was just very, very active, according to them, and not like the normal level of paranormal, a different sort of level, completely different. I get what you're saying, paranormal circle, brother. It's like, again, you can't put your finger completely on it, can you? You can only go by what people have wrote in research, and those that have lived there and experienced it. You can only take their word. That's the reason I want to go there. Not because I think they're lying, but just for the simple fact that I like to be open-minded and I like to experience things for myself. So, like I said, I'd go there to study, to try and get evidence, but me staying there overnight and stuff like that, no. It's it's a place you definitely need to be weary of, most definitely. What are you wanting, brother? Circle, you're confusing me. I don't know what you want about. What are you wanting? I challenge any warrior of the universe. So you want about aliens and stuff? Then you. Mm. Let's go and do it. Well, that's going to be a bit hard at the moment because I'm in the UK circle. Yeah, I want to go all over the place. I've seen quite a few places on the outskirts of Texas, along with the ranch, that would be really cool to go to and work out. Is if I ever get that way. So I don't know. It would definitely be something I'd have to meet up with people and go to. I wouldn't go there on my own. There's no way. My plans are to come to America and go to lots of haunted places. Guys, when you're writing in the room, please, when you're writing sentences, put full stops and exclamation marks in your comments if you're not blue. And do not put too many emojis because he will kick you. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not open to public anymore. It was researched for 20 years by scientific researchers, and there is now another guy that's been there since 2016, and he's still the previous owner of it now. And he doesn't allow any investigations or anything there. He doesn't allow any other sort of researchers of science or anything like them to go in there. It's only him and his people that he works under, or that work under him, that he allows onto the grounds. That place is no longer open to public or to other researchers to go and investigate it. It is sheerly for him and his people only. So, in my opinion, they have clearly found things there that are very unexplainable, which they are. And I believe that maybe they're hiding things. I think they've discovered more than what's been put in these videos, and that's why they've cut it all off so that people can't go in there, because they don't want people to be knowing. And You know, in some ways, some people will say, well, that's the best way to be, really, because it's unsafe and it's dangerous. But for those that are like us, that are investigators and stuff, it would be an experience. It would be an experience. Obviously, we don't want nothing to happen to us, but it would be good to just be able to go there and get that feeling for that place and try to kind of understand what might be going on there. You know what I mean? Like, you can go by what's being said in books and on documentaries and everything else, but you know, I'm one of these. Even though I do believe it, I am one of these that would rather go and find out for myself, not just take the word of somebody else. You know, so the only reason I believe it's true is because the fact that there's been several scientific researching groups that are known that have been part of that. I know, Circle. I know that you love aliens. I know you do, but it ain't just aliens that are there. There are all sorts of energies in that there, dangerous energies. Yeah, it's a strange one. I do believe that land is cursed. I just got that feeling that land's cursed as well. You know, if it's the land of the Navajo tribe, so you know some of the native people are good, but you know you do get those that would have put certain curses on certain parts of the land to stop others from going in it, and that's what I think they might have done. They might have cursed the land because of what was on it, hoping that people would stay away. But sadly, in this world, money overcomes all things. So even though they tried their best to keep people away from it, it didn't work. And in the prospect of trying to do that and it not working, people have suffered because of it. Lives have fallen apart, and there you go. You know, I don't think it's just a paranormal thing. I do think that there is some sort of curse ritual stuff done over that land, and it being part of you know, an Indian tribe, the Navajo Indian tribe, even more so. You know, you've got your witch doctors and medicine men and people like that. You know, people that work with magic and those sort of energies and powers. So it could be very easy for them to curse a land. You know, if that land is deemed unsafe and they don't want their own people walking on it, they've cursed it to try and stop others from going on it as well. But it, like I said, money buys everything. Can, you know, for that reason, people were moving in there, and their lives falling apart because of it. So it's definitely a place I'd love to go to. It is a place I'd love to go to, but I know that you wouldn't be able to get on the grounds. It's all closed off. You know, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if the outsides of that ground is open, because it ain't just going to be that area, ranch and land, is it? It's going to be the whole thing, and that goes miles and miles and miles. Those lands. So I do believe that the out and surrounding areas would be haunted as well. I do, big time, because a lot of the beings and the visions and things that people had been seeing while living there, a lot of these energies would disappear in the woodland area, just as the wolf did. You know, the wolf showed to the families, and at first seemed like that it was protective, but then you soon come to find it wasn't, and it wasn't there for a good reason at all. And when Mr. Sharman shot that wolf several times, it did not phase the wolf. The wolf was 4 to 5 times the size of a normal wolf, and apparently, according to him, when he took the last shot, a piece of that wolf's flesh come off, and when he went over, because the wolf walked away, because the wolf had tried attacking one of his calves. So first he tried smacking it with a shovel, and it didn't phase it. Then he shot it several times, and on the last shot, the skin come up, like a bit of flesh flew off of it. It just looked at him. It let go of the calf, and it walked off like nothing had happened to it. And in doing that, Mr. Sharman had picked up the stuff and smelt it, and he said it smelt rotten. It smelt rotten. It wasn't alive. And when they went and looked for the wolf, they found the tracks of its footprints, and they were able to get sightings of it. So they followed it for 2.5 hours, and they come to a part in the woodland area of that ranch, and the footprints stopped. Now, wolves are known to jump quite high, but that there's no way that wolf could have jumped anywhere where it was. So that wolf disappeared into thin air. I don't know. I don't know. I would never ever go there on my own. I'd be all right if I had 1 or 2 people with me, but I'd never go there on my own. No way. There is just no way. Even if you paid me $1 million, I would never go there on my own. It's just not happening. I wouldn't even take money for it. Not stop that. No way. And you know, from what I've read, it's not open to public or anything anymore. Hasn't been for quite a few years now. Since that guy took it on 5 years ago. It's all fenced off. You can't get in. Like I said, a lot of the ground and the woodland area is still not fenced off, but the actual ranch and that part of its land is. It's owned by researchers. It's been bought by researchers, scientific researchers. These researchers that are involved in it are there's NIBS, which is National Institute of Discovery of Science. Adamtanium Holdings. Bigelow. And Budgeting. These are research scientific researchers that have took have actually owned the place over so many years. Nibs had the place for 20 years, and now it's owned by Adamtanium Holdings, and I think they're in partner with the Elbow. I think it was called Elbow, wasn't it? Yeah, and I think they're in partnership with Eglo. Eglo. Hello, how are you, Sheriff? I hope you're well, sweet. Bigelow. They're in all with Bigelow, so they are the only people that go onto that land and that building. It's like Circle. It's definitely a place I would like to just go and check it out because of what it is. But I think that it's that sort of place that if you got too near to it, they'd probably shoot you. A bit like Area 51 or Area 57. Where I'm tired. I think that they would shoot you. I do. I think they'd shoot you because you're on the land. They're them sort of people, aren't they? They're scientific. They do that research. They look into like aliens and stuff like that. So I think if you was to step on that land, you'd get shot at. That's why it's like at Area 51. You know, if you get so far on their land, they'll shoot at you and stuff. Apparently, and because they don't want you on it, and they chase you off of it. And I reckon they'd be the same at this place. No, I'm not saying that I'm scared of it. I ain't scared of it. I'd love to go there. I just don't want to lose my life. Like I said, I don't mind going on the outskirts, but you don't even know if that'd be safe. They probably don't want you on any of it. I don't know. It'd be interesting to find out, wouldn't it? Hello, Rick. How are you? Nope, that's not going to work, is it? That's going to be a bit hot now. Yeah, no, it's kind of a bit of a 2-1-2-1 way sort of thing, isn't it? Because you want to do it, but then you're like, would you risk it because something might happen to you? You know, not so much something might happen to you with the aliens and stuff like that, but that's a big chance that any of that, the aliens and all of the other supernatural and paranormal beings and things that are supposed to be there. That's a big, chance of things happening to you as well. But even more so, the fact that there's researchers and stuff there for other aspects of the paranormal and things like that, supernatural, you'd probably get shot at. Hello, Eli. How are you, darling? Yes, we all have faith in lovely thinking. I have a faith in all of you guys. Like, I understand where Brother Circle's coming from because he's into aliens and stuff like that. So that would be his ideal place if there's meant to be, alien sort of life expectancy there. It's not just that aliens have been seen. Apparently, the UFOs have been seen over that land as well. Like, you can see them in the air and weird, strange lights and beams coming from the ground, explosions that happen on the land, and there isn't no explosion. It's random. There's loads of stuff that happens there, so I can kind of get why brother Circle is interested. And I'm a big believer of anything supernatural and paranormal. I believe in aliens big time. I do. I've had some weird experiences as well. One was about a year and a half, well, just over a year ago now, when I was in a car. The first sighting for a UFO at the ranch was meant to have been in the 1970s. You're welcome. Thank you, darling. But there'd been a lot of people saying about things like that way before then. That was just the more up to date sort of controversy that something was going on there. You know what I mean? So 1970s was the first time that people come out saying about it again. But like I said, the different tribes and people like that, you know, this is risky. Yeah, but the strange thing is, brother, you hear about all these people that have been abducted and things like that, and they don't get killed. They get brought back here. They just forget things and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I don't physically believe that aliens are here to kill human beings. I don't believe that they're here to kill human beings. I believe that they're here to just study and research, and that's what I believe they were doing with those cows. Like, it's looked at as a mutilation because of what happened to him, but really what they were doing was just studying and taking things from them. But you've never heard of anybody human-like that has said been been um, been put on file that they've been killed by an alien. You know what I mean? Like, you get people saying that they've been adopted and stuff like that, and that they remember little things, but you never hear anyone turn around and go, "Oh well, I know somebody that was killed by an alien." You just don't hear about aliens killing human beings. It's really weird. They just, I think that a lot of it is studying and research, coming up with newer equipment, new ways for them to continue to exist in this world. Their techniques and technology is more astounding than what we are, and me personally, I believe they take human beings and abduct them and that, and when they do this research, they plant something in them so that they can keep track of what's going on down there. That's what I believe, and keep track on that person and how the body changes and stuff like that. I do think they put things in your body. I do. Yeah, Circle's cool. He's cool, and he's just down to earth. He speaks truth and fact. So it's most definitely a place that's interesting, but very scary at the same time. Oh yeah, I believe in the alien abductions and stuff like that. I've had some strange things happen, but the most I've heard people say is that when they come back from being abducted, they're kind of their mind's been wiped from what they see, so they don't remember it. They just remember being somewhere strange and having strange things done to them, and that's it. They don't remember exactly what it is or how long they were there. They don't remember any of that. It's strange, and you can never kind of explain what happened. There's no explanation for what you witness. Yeah, you do a lot of it on Facebook, don't you, brother? I'm trying to see if there's any other place. I'm wanting to look up the other places to try and do another one. So yeah, we spoke about we've done the basics on the Skinwalker ranch, and we've got some interest in that, and I can understand why. But it's most definitely a place you would have to be very wary of. I do believe that. Right, let's have a look at another place. Hang on, guys. So we're moving on swiftly from Skinwalker Ranch, which is a very cool and interesting place. Just give me 2 minutes to go to the loo, then I'll be back and we will talk about our next location. And then we will move swiftly on to the ghost stories. Oh, I'm back, guys. Really do not feel very well. The Legends of Martle's Planetation is the other place. So let's see what it says. The Legend of the Ghost Stories. Taught as one of America's most haunted homes, the Planetation is supposedly the home to at least 12 ghosts. It is often reported that 10 murders occurred in the house, but historical records only indicate the murder of William Winter. Unsolved Mysteries filmed a segment about the alleged hauntings at the Planetation. According to the host, Robert Stack, the production crew experienced technical difficulties during the production of the segment. The Martles was also featured on a 2005 episode of Ghost Hunters. The Legend of Chloe. Possibly the most well-known of the Martles' supposed ghost is Chloe, or Chloe, was reportedly a slave owned by Clark and Sarah Woodruff. According to one story, Clark Woodruff had pursued or forced Chloe into being his mistress. Other visions of the legend had Chloe listening in as keyholes to learn news of Clark Woodruff's business dealings or for other purposes. After being caught either by Clark or Sarah Woodruff, one of her ears was cut off and she wore a green turban to hide it. Chloe supposedly baked a cake containing extract of boiled and reduced oleander leaves, which are extremely poisonous. The virus legend diverged as to why she did this. A housemaid who was getting the favour of the mistress was a suspect, with some saying she was getting revenge on Woodruffs, and some saying she was attempting to redeem her position by curing the family of the poisoning. According to the legend, her plan backfired. Only Sarah and her two daughters ate the cake, and all died from the poison. Chloe was then supposedly hanged by the other slaves and thrown into the Mississippi River, either as punishment or to escape punishment by Clark Woodruff for harbouring her. The historical records do not support this legend. There is no record of the Woodruffs owning a slave named clove, or any slaves. The legend usually claims that Sarah and her two daughters were poisoned, but Mary Activa survived. Well, in the adulthood, finally, Sarah James and Coronel Woodruff were not killed by poisoning, but instead succumbed to yellow fever. Regardless of the faculty occurrences of the close story, some believe a woman wearing a green turban haunts the plantation. Other legends. There are a variety of legends surrounding the myths. The house is reportedly built on an Indian burial ground, and the ghost of a young Native American woman has been reported. During the Civil War, the house was ransacked by Union soldiers, and the legend claims that 3 were killed in the house. Supposedly, there is a blood stain in a doorway roughly the size of a human body that will not or was not will not or would not come clean. Other legends say that cleaners have been unable to push their mop or broom into that space. A mirror located in the house supposedly holds the spirits of Sarah Woodruff and 2 of her children. According to costume, mirrors are covered after a death, but legends say that after the poisoning of the Woodruffs, this particular mirror was overlooked. The uncovered mirror reportedly trapped the spirits of Sarah and her children, who were occasionally seen or leave handprints in the mirror. The plantation is also reportedly haunted by a young girl who died in 1868. Despite being treated by a local voodoo practitioner, she suddenly appeared in the room in which she died and had been reported to practice voodoo on people sleeping in the room. There is also a ghost who reportedly walks and staggers or crawls up the stairs and stops on the 17th step. Some have said this is William Drew Winter, the victim of the only verified murder in the house. He was shot on his front porch and, according to the legend, staggered or crawled upstairs but collapsed dead on the 17th step. Alternative versions of the claim murder claim he managed to crawl upstairs and collapse in his wife's arms on the 17th step. However, this version of the story is consisted. The history of the South will always provide us with tales of romance and mystery. The saga of the antebellum South, of a lifestyle that will never be forgotten, lives on at the ground mason known as the mysterious plantation high on the hills in St. Francisville, Louisiana. Whiskey Dave. The drama of the Myrtles plantation began in 1796 when General David Bradford, also known as Whiskey Dave, of the Whiskey Rebellion, fled the United States to avoid arrest and imprisonment. Bradford arrived at Bayou Sara, then a Spanish colony, and obtained a land grant of 650 acres from the Baron de Corraledet to begin a new life in the 1820s. The Myrtles was sold to his son-in-law, Judge Clark Woodruff, who remodeled the mansion. The Sterling era. 14 years later, the house was sold to Mr. Reuben Sterling, who completed the mansion in the grandeur that one can see today. The 125-foot-long veranda is noticed for its ornamental ironwork. The entrance foyer contains some of the finest examples of fox bios and other pierced friezwork in existence today. The French chandeliers in Baccarat crystal and weighs more than 300 pounds. The stained glass entrance, originally to the house, was hand painted, etched and painted after the French cross to ward off evil. The ladies and the gentlemen's parlours are mirrored reflections of one another. There are 2 rooms. These 2 rooms are identical in size and exhibit magnificent open-piece friezwork moulding. The carrier marble mantles grace the north and the south walls of the parlours. In the dining and gaming rooms, important to the plantation life, are downstairs. The former provided a place to hold festive dinners and to discuss events of the day. The latter offered a restful and intimate atmosphere for games of chance. You're invited. The Mirrorless Planetician invites you to step into the past for a visit of the antebellum splendor. Relax in a giant rocker on the wide veranda or stroll through our historic grounds laced with live oak trees, creep myrtles trees, azaleas and other flora and fauna typical of antebellum plantations. We hope the history has conquered your curiosity and that you will plan a visit with us to learn more of the history and to receive the introductions into the many mysteries and integrate the surroundings of one of the Americans' most haunted homes. Mm. Yeah, I was just reading that thing. It did. It does. Obviously, my reading's not too great, so I couldn't understand some of the words. I was trying to read it as best as I could, but that was the a very interesting place. Very, very interesting. And there's meant to be some pretty good stories behind it. So the Myrtles Planetation. That's what we've just read about there. So they were my 2. Yeah, see, my reading gets a bit funny. So I've done those 2 things. So now what I wanted to do, because we've been on for 97 minutes. It's nearly 1 o'clock. Yeah, it's most definitely an unusual thing. And the mirror, and that the woman and two children are stuck in it that were previous owners to it back in them days. So that's nuts. But now we shall go on to the ghost stories. Oh, I don't feel very well, guys. I'm in pain. So, you think you've heard it all? The really scary ghost stories. At this point, nothing can scare you. We beg to disagree. To prove there's still a wealth of fresh, scary stories, we asked our dear readers and the good people at Reddit to share their scariest ghost stories. Planning on getting a good night's sleep tonight? Think again. These 19 real ghost stories will have you questioning that bump in you hear in the night. Really? Number 1. 3 knocks in the dead of night. Something strange happened in Oxman Babe and their grandma one night. They stayed up late watching The Walking Dead. The grandma had never seen the show before, so they spent the past few nights binging late into the night. It was about 4 a.m. when the two turned off the televisions and the lights and called it a night. Their grandma went into her room and our rabbit user went to the bathroom to brush their teeth. That was when they heard 3 light knocks right behind them. Since the bathroom was connected to their grandma's room, they assumed it was her checking to see if they were in the bathroom. They answered but didn't get a response. When they left the bathroom and met their grandma in the hallway, she asked what the user wanted. Confused, the writer said that they thought she was the one knocking on the bathroom door. But Grandma had also heard 3 knocks on her door and thought it was the Reddit user. Okay, that don't sound very scary to me at all. As it turns out, they both heard the quiet, distant knocks. They searched the house to make sure no one had broken in, double-checked the locks, and finally went to bed. Their grandma has one deceased son, and one son that has been missing for almost a year now. The user believes that the knocks had something to do with the missing man. Perhaps they were trying to reach out to their beloved family. The shoe in the riverbed. A few years ago, Torture Tom had just been through a rough divorce from their high school sweetheart. Their best friends had taken to distracting them by taking long road trips. One morning they were on their way to Carlsbad, New Mexico, where they paused alongside a river dam. They were drinking cider and snacking when the pair decided to explore the dried riverbed. It was obvious that they were the first ones to go trekking through the riverbed. The pair couldn't see human, canine, and feline footprints in the mud. They then recall starting to feel an odd sensation like they were being watched. Their friend caught the writer's attention and called them over. There was a bone in the ground. What they now believe was the spinal cord. At first they thought it was a beef or pork bone or some kind. They continued looking around the riverbed when they found a strange rust-coloured rock sticking out from the sand. When they got closer, they realised it was a half-buried little girl's shoe. The Reddit user stepped back and ran forward, preparing to kick the shoe. Suddenly, they heard a little girl's voice shout, "No, don't, please." They looked around but didn't see anyone besides themselves and their friends. The friend asked why they stopped, and they replied, "Didn't you hear that little girl?" Both confused, they decided to shrug it off and continue on their way. Meanwhile, the feeling that someone was watching them grew stronger. A few minutes later, they spotted another bone. Now they begin to get scared. The bone was clearly human. The friend called the non-emergency police number for Carlsbad, and they reported what they saw. 1 week later, they received a call from their friend that the Carlsbad police had called to report the bones they found were indeed human. During the investigation, the two were questioned and eventually informed that the rust-coloured rock actually wasn't a rock at all, but the shell of a pickup truck that had disappeared along with a family of 3. It had been carrying a man, a woman, and their daughter. It was made the Reddit user think back to the girl's shoe sticking out of the mud and the voice they heard. Could the little girl have spoken directly to them? I wouldn't say it's scary though. The Ouija board warning. Last year, Small Bean Dean went to a friend's house for a party around 1 in the morning. The group decided to use a Ouija board. The Reddit user was the only one who believed in accounts of the paranormal, so she was hesitant when her friends brought out the board. But instead of giving her friends more reason to tease her when it came to the paranormal, she acted as if she didn't believe in such activity. They began asking the board questions. They started with a few normal questions and nothing really exciting happened. Then someone asked if the spirit wanted to hurt them, and it responded with only one. The group started to get creeped out at this point, and rightfully so. When one friend asked the natural follow-up question, who, who, the board spelled out Natasha. The rabbit used a full name. It should be noted that she doesn't care for their full name, and as everyone call her Tasha. Instead, Tasha then left the room. While her friends continued playing, but found out later that night that the group forgot to say goodbye to the board. Anyone familiar with a Ouija board knows that closing the interaction with the spirits is critical before stopping the use of this board. Needless to say, she was nervous. After this, Tasha had no memory of that night. She only remembers getting a migraine and a nosebleed. Her friends took videos of her acting strangely, speaking with a changed voice, and a few instances of her talking in other languages. However, that night wasn't the only time this happened. In the days following, Tasha's parents reported the same thing happening. Once again, she remembered nothing but migraines and nosebleeds. About 2 weeks later, she was back to normal, or so she thought. Tasha was suddenly hospitalized for extracting pain in her kidneys, so bad that it almost shut down. The doctors tried everything but couldn't figure out what was wrong. Then one she was scheduled for surgery. The pain suddenly stopped. One day later, Tasha was released. Since that instant, she has never felt like she was truly alone. Sometimes she feels someone grabbing her hand or neck, making it difficult to breathe. Tasha has always believed in the paranormal, but this experience made it far more real for her. Number 4, scares at the nursing home. Swagman is a dietary aid at a nursing home for people with Alzheimer's, and they have had some seriously scary encounters while working there. Their job mainly consists of washing dishes, and they're normally standing right next to the dishwasher, which makes it difficult to hear what people are saying. On numerous occasions, they have been by the dishwasher and heard someone talking to them, even though they knew no one was nearby. One night, the writer went to collect food carts in one of their units alone. The whole time they were in the unit, they felt like they were being followed. Fearing what they might see, they never turned around. Eventually, they pulled off, pretending to use the bathroom. They waited there for about 5 minutes before peering into the hallway where they'd just been. There, they saw a patient they recognized at first. This made them feel better, but soon they realized that it was a patient who had died 3 days prior in a unit near the kitchen. The user also relied a second experience they had while washing the dishes on a different day. They asked the person they were washing with if he could go into the unit A and get the food carts. The third person, who normally washed with them, had already left for the day, leaving the writer alone. Suddenly they heard a voice in their ear. They turned around, but no one was there. They even went into the hallway but still saw nothing. As they returned to washing the dishes, it happened again. The second time, they realized it was the voice of their great grandmother who had passed away 7 years ago. Very spooky. Do one more story, guys. In 2013, at her friend's OM Babe at her friend's decided to make an Ouija board. Her best friend lives about a 45-minute drive from the closest store and nearest town, so there wasn't much to do. They'd spent the day watching movies but eventually got bored. So the user, her friend, the friend's boyfriend, and his friend decided to make the board. About a week before they made the board, the two friends had been staying alone at the house when the rabbit writer to the woke at 6 a.m. to the sound of heavy footsteps in the hallway nearing the bedroom. She tried to wake her friend, but it was no use. She was a heavy sleeper. The footsteps stopped right outside the door. The writer waited, holding her breath for the door to open, but it never did. The next few hours she spent awake, waiting for something to happen. When both girls were finally awake by 11 that morning, before Eva left the room, she told a friend what had happened that night before, and what her friend said in response chilled her to the bone. She said that for years she's been hearing the same footsteps, and they had always stopped right outside her bedroom. No one else has heard the footsteps until the writer. That night they made their Ouija board. The group were messing around with it, not getting any real responses when they suddenly heard a loud bang in the back of the house. They decided to stop for the night. The friend left to drive the other two home, leaving the Redditor user alone at the house. Being alone after hearing that loud noise and the footsteps made her nervous. She turned on the television for distraction while she awaited for her friends to return. In the middle of the opening credits, the television froze and started to make loud buzzing noises. She tried to turn off the TV, but the remote wouldn't work. Then she tried to unplug it, but it kept going. Thoroughly freaked out, she went outside to wait for her friends to get back. At this point, she had started shaking and crying and texted a friend explaining what had happened. Then the dog started barking at the living room door, viciously growling and sneering like they saw something non-human. No human could. 30 minutes later, her friends finally arrived back home. Both girls could hear the television from the porch, but when they went inside, it was completely shut off and was still unplugged. Neither are sure exactly what happened, but they are certain it was some kind of malevolent spirit. I'll do one more story. Oh. Mystical Gypsy, that's just the name of the user, has always been into the paranormal and has experienced a fair number of encounters throughout their life. Recently married, they and their spouse Charlie moved into a beautiful little house in a quiet neighbourhood. They had been living there a short time when they started noticing strange occurrences. The first, the first happened while Charlie was upstairs in bed and they were downstairs watching television. Suddenly he ran into the living room and asked if they had just been in the bedroom. They answered no, and Charlie panicked. He said that as he's been laying in bed, someone had pushed the blanket up so his feet were exposed and a cold hand had caressed his foot. To avoid the spirit, they moved their room to a different bedroom in the house, but the activity continued. They heard heavy footsteps going up and down the stairs. Bowls and pans would spin clockwise on the counter. Dark, full-bodied figures would walk past their bedroom doors and vanish. A knife was once lifted and thrown across the kitchen by an unseen force, and the dogs would bark into the corners of the house. Once they even looked up into the window of the master room and saw an elderly woman staring down at them. Eventually, the young couple had had enough and talked with their neighbours to learn about the history of the house. They learned that the house had been built in the 1970s and the elder lady who had owned the house before them died at the age of 101. The two had no doubt this woman was the spirit tormenting the home. So the writer decided to go upstairs and make peace. They informed the spirit that they intended to remain in the house and they promised to keep it nice. They offered to help her cross over, but also said she was welcome to stay if her presence became more peaceful. Since then, the couple have been living peacefully in their home, and the old woman occasionally makes herself known. I wouldn't say these are scary. Oh, oh, ow, 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 ow. I wouldn't say that that's scary at all. None of them is scary. Interesting, but not scary. Hello, Spirit Stalker. How are you? Ancient Drummer, thinking of others. And all my other lovelies in the room. Mittens. Yeah, like, it makes you wonder and it makes you think, but it wouldn't stop me sleeping. There's no way it'll stop me sleeping. God, the amount of spirits I deal with on a daily basis and stuff of all kinds, no. No. Oh, I need to sit on my legs a minute, guys, because I'm in so much pain. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to turn the light on. I'm going to blow out the candles. That one doesn't want to go out. It's like, no. Oh. So yes, that was the two places that are supposed to be haunted and some ghost stories, guys. I'll wait till... Oh dear. I really don't feel very good. My stomach's hurting. I feel sick. I might just put Spirit Box on, not get all of the equipment and stuff out, guys. I think it's too much for me to do that. If I just do some EVPs and some Spirit Box, and then we do the crossing over thing. I've got like shivers going up and down my spine at the minute for some reason. I don't know why. Let me just move all this stuff so I can get comfortable, guys. Oh. Yeah, turn it that way. Right, give me 2 minutes. I'll just go and get the thing, and I'll stop this one and put the other one on. I've got my bits here because I'm wanting to do the crossing over thing, and that needs to be done. So, most definitely. Oh, just nearly fell over then. Okay. On your bed, please. On your bed. And I'm cold. Why am I cold? Oh my god. I feel really cold. Right, let me come off of this one and I'll be back in a minute, guys. I'm literally going to be a couple of seconds. Love you all. Thank you for coming and joining the ghost story and haunted locations. I'm glad that you came in and spent the evening with me listening. So we're going to do another stream, and it's going to be where I just do EVPs and spirit. I was going to do the investigation stuff, but we've done a lot of that, and I'm really not feeling strong enough to be, you know, I haven't got the energy to be walking around. I'm not feeling very well, so we'll just listen to some EVPs, and we'll do the Spirit Box app on my tablets, and then the last 40 minutes before the stream ends, because it should end at 4:10, we will do the crossing over of the spirits. Awesome. Well, I hope you're having a good chilling out day with your friend. Sounds good. I hope that you've enjoyed the streams, guys. Right, so I will be back in a minute, guys. So I love you, angels. Thank you for the love and support. Thank you for being awesome and being the family that you are. You know that I love you all very much. And I'll be back in a minute. And stay spooky. I'll be very, very, very soon be back.